Is Medicare required if you are on Medicaid? Let's say you're getting ready to turn 65, you are a legal resident, or you've been here at least 5 years, and you're like, I like my Medicaid. I don't really want Medicare. Are you federally required to enroll in Medicare? And the answer is no. The law does not require it. But the reality is you are required. So I have always trained, yeah, you got to take it. But you don't. The government will let you screw up if you want to. And it is a screw up because Medicaid is always the payer of last resort. It pays after what Medicare would have paid for because you're eligible for Medicare, right? We said you're eligible at 65 because you paid in your quarters or you're a legal resident. So you're eligible. You just didn't want it, typically because you were misinformed. So if you didn't take Medicare at 65 and you're on Medicaid, and let's say you have a Part A inpatient hospitalization, okay, you're going to have money out of pocket. Medicaid's not going to pay for that. They're going to say you should have taken Medicare. So don't argue with your client when they're saying, well, I'm not required. You're kind of required. You're required by the reality of the situation. Typically, I don't have to argue a lot with a lot of my clients. But, we all get those stubborn guys. They're like, yeah, I don't want to do anything. I want to stay on ACA. I'm 65. I like it. Same thing with Medicaid. There's over 10 million people in this country. Well, as of today, that's probably going to change. But that have Medicaid and Medicare, known as, in our lingo, dual eligibles. So we sell dual special needs plans that wrap around Medicare and Medicaid. The problem for insurance agents is when they lose their Medicaid eligibility. So the new OBBB, the new bill that just passed, is going to make it harder to keep your Medicaid. Not necessarily because they changed all the income requirements, but because they increased the paperwork administrative verification process. They're going to make it, they're kind of like kill you by 1,000 little cuts. So they're making it harder to keep verified. So it's really critical if you have clients that are your dual special needs clients, that they call the Medicaid office and verify that they have their correct email, address, and phone number. Because if they're being outreached for verification and they cannot reach them, boom, they're off the rolls. Now you lost your client. You lost your dual SNP client and you got a big problem you're trying to solve and they can't afford it and they're trying to get a redetermination. If you've ever sold DSNP, you know exactly what nightmare here I'm talking about. So the first step in your outreach to your clients right now, they're saying what happened with the OBBB, the new bill. They didn't get rid of Medicaid. They made it a lot tougher. So that constant rolling multiple year verification is going to catch a lot of people. So the easy step is to call them several times a year and just make sure they have your correct address, email, phone number. So are they going to hire a lot more people, a lot more staff, since they have to do so much more verification, not just for Medicaid, but for ACA? No, they're not. They're not getting more funding to do this verification. That was the point. That's why I said it's kind of a silent strangle. If they up the paperwork demand on all these employees and they can't keep up with it, people are going to fall through the cracks. People are going to fall off Medicaid. People are going to fall off the ACA. We know that. So if you're trying to be the best advocate for your client, you're explaining the hurdles they're up against and what they can do proactively to make sure that they stay on the rolls. If you learned something today, please give me a follow. I know we got a lot of changes coming in this bill. I don't want to talk about them all in one long video, so I'll just leave this video on this one topic. Tune in next week and I'll talk about more.